Hello everyone, welcome you again in this new topic, that is the details of the introduction part. So now we are going to start writing the introduction part of our research article. So the title is given as Crafting a Strong Opening for DFT Research Papers. And this is the part of scientific writing for computational material science research course. And we know that introductions are where you convince the readers your work matters for computational material science. Clearly, the context are critical to stabilizing your research significance and the impact. I am Dr. Mohanel Verma, your instructor for this course. So welcome you again all, and let's begin with this question, the purpose of an introduction. Although in previous lectures, in two lectures, I just tried to introduce the texture of different morphology of research articles, that is that IMRAD, that the conventional that the framework for research articles, and using by different uh, journals, research journals, and reputed research journals. That is one conventional um, framework of research paper. And there I also introduced that what is that introduction. But those are just the glimpse of that. And now onward in some lectures also, I will now detail because we are going to we are going to start the writing of an introduction part. So we will begin with this, the purpose of an introduction. So in this this introduction explains why. This demonstrates why work matter, and this demonstrates why the work matters to the scientific community and broader application. And also this provide context. This place your study within the broader context of existing research and established the knowledge. And then also this introduction identify the gaps. This clearly highlights the knowledge gap your research address. And then also this states the objectives. So this presents clear objectives and novelty that distinguish your contribution with other published articles. So some common problems in the introduction. So first one is that is the excessive details. So that including too much technical details that belongs in the method sections, overwhelming readers with premature complexity. So also I mentioned these drawbacks are that the common problems in articles in previous lectures also. I want to remind you the things which is very important during writing research article. That's why I'm repeating all those things in this lecture, and also I will just give some glimpse in the forthcoming lectures. And then this vague statements. So bring too vague with nuclear. So begin too vague with no clear research gap identified, leaving readers uncertain about your contribution. And one thing is that is the wrong audience. First, you said you have to think yourself that to whom you are addressing for your research article, and so not focusing on an appropriate audience, missing the marks on technical level and context. So you should write for the specific audience, so that the weak connection. So failure to create a strong connection between literature review and your specific objectives, so that even that proper flow, the connection between one particular part to another particular part within that your research article, even the connectivity with your context, with the previous reported result, and as well as the connectivity with the audience. These are that important part of any research article. So during writing that introduction part, we have to take care of this four special points, specific points of research articles. Now, the general structure framework of an introduction part. First, we will begin with that background. So this background. So stabilize what is currently known in the field, providing essential context and the theoretical foundation. and then this gap. So identify specifically what is missing from current understanding or methodology. So the general structure is we will begin with the background, and then we will this will be followed by the gap research gap. This is known as the research gap. During the writing the synopsis, the people know we have to identify the research gap, uh, and this is also important during the writing of any research article. Then objectives. So create state what you will do to address the identified gap. And then significance. So explain why your research is important, and what is the impact uh, it will have for the society, for the readers. So these are the four part structure, provides a logical flow that guides readers from general knowledge to your specific contribution. Now, during writing that research article, as I also mentioned previously, that we have to approach a funnel. So this is known as the funnel approach during introduction writing. So we have to start with a broad context. So begin the field level with the general importance and applications. Then we will narrow down uh, so that the context. So focus progressively on specific materials, systems, or phenomena. And then this research questions. So we will end with this research question. So end with your precise research questions and approach. So a smooth transition between these levels are essential. This is known as the flow. Uh, and the flow of introduction must be smooth, and each paragraph should naturally flow into the next, creating a compelling narrative that leads inevitably to your research objectives. So remember that the funnel approach ensures readers understand both the big picture and why your specific work matters. One example of this funnel approach, and especially this is for DFT based study. So here I am giving that the concept of the transport properties analysis using DFT. So let's begin with that broad context. So this is the sentence. So nano devices require accurate modeling of charge transport for next generation electronic and quantum computing applications. So I'm beginning with that nano devices, and then narrowing focus. Then now we come to that this point, that DFT NEGF, non-equilibrium green function, has been successfully applied to carbon nanotube. So we are moving from nano device to carbon nanotube, but transition metal oxide nanotubes like MNO remains largely unexplored. And now the objective is being specified as a specific objective. Here we investigate defect induced magnetism in MNO nanotube using DFT plus U to understand their spintronic properties. So this example, so we begin with that broad context of one new node device and the requirement for that and the modeling of accurate modeling for that nano device, and that then we just come to the next step. It's methodology. We use that DFT plus NACF, and that nano device moves to that nanotube. Nanotube is the part of that, and the nanotube, that well-known nanotube, is the carbon nanotube. And then we move to our material, that is amino nanotube, and also we are creating defects on uh, amino nanotube to generate that magnetism. And then some specification of that methodology, especially that DFT plus U we are using here to understand their spontaneous type behavior. So this example demonstrates how each level builds naturally towards your specific research question, whilst maintaining clear relevance to the broader field. Now, how we will begin? That is the first sentence strategies. So your opening sentence sets the tone to the entire paper. So that first sentence strategies, uh, uh, what will be that? So let's begin. So state importance. So we will begin with the importance of our work. So begin by stabilizing the fundamental importance of your research topic. So you are mentioning that in the title. So we will begin with the importance of that research topic, and then use statistics. So open with a striking fact or statistics that demonstrates relevance. So relevance is statistics, and then define the concepts. So there were so many terminology we use in that title, as well as abstract, as well as some keywords. So we have to define the concepts. So start by defining a key concepts central to your research. One example I am giving here. So over 70%, this is that statistics, of device power loss in nanoelectronics originates from transport inefficiencies efficiencies of interfaces, highlighting the critical need for accurate quantum transport modeling. This opening immediately stabilizing both the practical importance and the technical challenge your research entries. I'm just repeating this sentence. Over 70% of device power loss in nano electronic originates from transport inefficiencies at interface. Although that language is slightly typical, one can use you can use some easy language also, highlighting the critical need for accurate quantum transport modeling. Now the background selection, this is essential. So first, it's a theoretical foundation. We will begin with the theoretical foundation. So let's introduce relevant theories such as DFT basics, transport mechanism, or electronic structure principles that underpin your work. And then we can give as the background as the prior studies. So mention previous research briefly, focusing on key development and stabilized methodology. And then, but remember this, avoid, you have to avoid, we have to avoid the details. So resist including technical implementation details. This belong in your method section. So do not just mess method section with introduction, or other result and discussion section with introduction. So just we have to focus on that 4 points previously we have to mention. So we have to avoid the details, and the background should provide sufficient context for readers to understand your research without overwhelming them with premature technical complexity. Now, literature review within introduction. So literature review is also one of the important part of that introduction section. So we will uh, cite seminal papers, so reference foundation works that stabilized key concepts in your field, include recent advancement. So highlights development from the last 3 to 5 years. Don't use that 20 years papers published in 20 years back. So focus on the work 3 to 5 years uh, back to show current relevance of your work. And then this so field evolution, so demonstrate awareness of how the field has progressed over time. So this is some sort of story writing. uh, so just to begin with that broad one, and giving some good papers and review articles and review part, and then relevant that part in your work. This is important. So strategic strategic citation demonstrates your thorough understanding of the field whilst avoiding the exhaustive literature review. So do not use hundreds of paper for review. Just give uh, some good papers which is directly relevant to your uh, subject under consideration. Then next will be the identify the gap. So the knowledge gap is the heart of your introduction. Remember this line. This is the introduction part, the knowledge gap, whatever that gap, it's the heart of it. So the missing piece drives your entire research narrative and justifies why your study is necessary. And your gap statement should be specific, compelling, rather than saying that little is known. Identify precisely what aspects remain unexplored or inadequately understood. So this is known as that research gap. So one example is here. So whilst graphene transport properties are well established. We know about that. Graphene transport properties are well. Abundant number of papers are there. The spin-dependent transport behavior in transition metal oxide nanotube remain purely understood. There is a gap, particularly regarding defect-induced magnetic ordering. This is the showing the defect and importance of that one. It's not presented so far. That's why I'm writing this paper. This statement clearly delineates what is known from the your research will address, creating a logical foundation for your objective. Now, crafting research objective. So, uh, be explicit. Objective is not must not be messy. It be explicit. Use clear phrasing such as the objective of the study is to eliminate ambiguity, so novelty, help reviewers immediately recognize your unique contribution to the field. Nowadays, uh, that with title and subtitles that some journals during submission uh, give just ask about the novelty statement of that paper. So you have to show that novelty in part of the introduction during writing the objective of that. So state goals clearly. So present specific achievable goals that directly address your identified knowledge gap. So we crafted objectives serve as a roadmap for your entire paper, helping both reviewers and readers understand exactly what you aim to accomplish. Now, the significance statement. Why should the reader core your about your research? So, your significance statement transform technical research into meaningful impact. Connect your findings to real world applications and technological advancement. So, generally, that if you are doing something for your research, your PhD work, then if your work is correlated with real world applications, then you have to connect that application to that real world. So that will be that the significance of your work, and this is given in form of that significance statement. That these are some topic spintronic. So this quantum information processing, spintronic is used in quantum information processing. So you have to correlate like transistor. So next generation electronic, nano transistor and transistor. Energy device. So let's connect this with storage and conversion system. So one example is here. So understanding spin transport in MNO nanotube is crucial for developing next generation spintronic device that could revolutionize quantum computing and ultra low power electronics. So that real world examples are here, that ultra low power electronics and this quantum computing, and we are just trying to connect our work uh, to that real world examples like quantum computing and low power electronics and then nano electronics. So what we have to do for a strong introduction? So be concise, it complete. So provide sufficient context without overwhelming details. Every sentence should serve as a clear purpose in building your narrative. Do not write two page or 2.5 page introduction to um, just filling so many just garbage informations. So be concise and write clearly. Use active language. As far as the language or grammar is concerned, employ strong active voice constructions that convey confidence and clarity in your research approach. Cite strategically, so reference key papers that directly support your argument rather than providing exhausting literature coverage. And end with purpose. So always concise your introduction by clearly stating your research purpose and what readers can expect. And what we don't, so that don'ts that weaken our introduction. First, avoid equation overload. Do not use equations and other things. This is actually the part of method. So don't fill in introduction with complex equation. This belongs in method section where they can be properly explained. No raw results, do not include that results in this part. So resist the temptation to preview your finding. Introduction should build anticipation, not reveal the conclusion. And don't review everything. Again, that review portion is very important one, uh, because this gives that that research gap or gap which you want to show. And that gap is, as I mentioned, that it is the heart of laser, heart of this literature. So this do not use review everything. So avoid attempting to cover the entire field. Focus on literature directly relevant to your research gap. Never leave readers guessing. So don't conclude without clearly stating your contribution. Ambiguity we can impact this all these weakens actually the impact uh, on the readers. So one model paragraph analysis, so demonstrating well-crafted DFT paper introduction. So just some lines. So this first, we begin with this DFT, density functional theory has become the standard for exploring the electronic structure of nanomaterials. Carbon, we are beginning with that DFT. Although we can start with that nanomaterials also, but because this CNT is nanomaterials, but we can begin with that DFT, the methodology. So carbon and nanotube have been widely studied for transport, but the oxide, so we just move to narrowing our statement, carbon nanotube. But the next analogues such as amino nanotube remain purely understood. In this work, we use DFT plus U combined with the non-equilibrium green function NEGF method to explore defect-induced magnetism and spin transport in amino nanotube. Our results reveal that vacancy defects stabilize ferromagnetic state, enhancing spin polarization and suggesting potential application in spintronic device. So let's now postmortem this. So first, this gives the background. It is stabilized DFTS standard method. Gap CNT is studied, but MNO, analogous MNO nanotube, it is not studied so far. So there is a gap between these two study, and then some method and significance is mentioned. So DFT plus U approach is being used with a clear application. Adapting to different journal types, so we have different types of journal, and we we follow that journal type. So for physical journals, if you want to publish our article in physical journal, so we have to give emphasis on theoretical framework, novel methodology, fundamental understanding, and highlight computational advances and the theoretical novelty. And for chemistry journal, focus on material properties, synthesis relevance, and chemical bonding insight connected to experimental characterization possibly. Although we are just uh, using interconnecting that physics and chemistry, because there are so many journals, the chemical physics or physical chemistry like that. Uh, so we can combine these two also. And that applied journals, so stress practical applications, device performance implementation implications, and technological impact, link finding to engineering solution. So these are that application part, for especially we are giving emphasis on devices, then application journals we should so understanding your target journals audience and scope allows you to tailor your introduction to maximize impact and relevance. So before writing introduction, we should also take care of which type of journal we are selecting to submit our paper. So we can mold our introduction part according to that journal. So now the flow chart for introduction writing. So first we must start with the broad motivation. So start with field level importance in general application, then background and literature. Second part, provide focus background with key citation, and then the knowledge gap. So identify specific missing knowledge and methodology. Then we will give that objective. So start clear research goal and a unique contribution. Then significant and application, current finding to real world impact and a future research. So this flow chart provide a systematic approach to crafting introduction that flow logically from broad context to a specific contribution. Some essential tools for introduction writing. So you can use that reference management. So Jotero or Mendeley helps organize that citation efficiently, ensuring accurate formatting and easy bibliography generation through your writing process. For literature search, you can use Scope and Scopus and Web of Science, because this needs uh, you need a number of good papers in to the writing that review part, and provide comprehensive access to recent publication, citation matrices, and research trends in your field. AI writing assistant, you can also use that. Chat GPT and similar tools can help organize ideas and structure arguments, but should supplement, not replace your original thinking and writing this. So do not 100% depend on that chat GPT context. uh, so this you can use as a supplement part of that. And even during that acknowledgement part, you have to mention which AI tools you are using, or how much portions you are writing that. Remember, tools should enhance your writing process, but the critical thinking and the scientific insight must come from you. So your personal thinking and your personal writing skill should be observed on your research article. Remember this. Some essential reference. So these are some reference, and this foundation text provide comprehensive guidance on scientific writing and writing principle, whilst the technical references offer insight into computational material science communication. So summary, so this context reflect best practice for writing research paper introduction, especially tailored for early career researcher in computational material science and DFT studies. For additional resources support, please consult the course materials and recommended reference provided throughout this presentation. So, and also remember that a strong introduction are the foundation of impactful research communication. Invest time in crafting opening that engage, inform, and inspire your readers. Anyway, so start writing your introduction part, and if you have uh, some good writing skill, I hope so. And thank you all. Also, I would like to thank all the tools I'm using to generate this mm, PPTs and that context related to this. And so all these are that open source. So thank you all the resource provider. So thank you audience. Practice well, learn well, and apply well. Meet you in the next session. Thank you.